How you doing? I'm Tobin. Today we are at the McKenzie River Lavender Farm, located just outside of my hometown of Springfield. It's up the river a few miles. Just off to my left is the McKenzie River, and over here to my right is the McKenzie Highway, Oregon State Highway 126. This is the third farm I have now had the pleasure of doing a review of. I'm here to review Ariana and Evan's Lavender Noir. I'll talk about that more in a minute as I continue to get set up and talk about the McKenzie River Lavender Farm. Carol Tannenbaum is the owner of the farm. She's given us permission to be out here today. Here in a couple of weeks, the second weekend in July every year, they have the McKenzie River Lavender Bloom Festival. That's Friday the 11th, 12th, and 13th. All day long. If you're in this neck of the woods, I invite you to stop by and also check out their website. I'll be throwing some stuff up there on the screen as we go along and as I talk about lavender and for what a lot of you are probably here for, this fragrance. The fragrance, the Soap and Splash, was sent to me for review. I have already scooped the soap into my Captain's Choice bowl. I'll be lathering that up with a Sawdust Creation Studios handle from Louisiana and a Frank's G7 synthetic knot. 20 years ago, I was not a fan of lavender. 10 or so years ago, I fell in love with lavender. I now own lavender from 7 different companies. This here is my 8th from Ariana and Evans. Lavender Noir, what really makes it different than most of the others is it's not just another lavender fragrance. The last lavender fragrance I reviewed was just straight up a lavender fragrance, as many are. This is a date night fragrance, and the star of the show is lavender, but there's so much more to this fragrance than just lavender. If you're familiar with my content, you know I do the family fragrance score. I easily give this a 10. This is my absolute favorite lavender fragrance. If you were to contact me and ask me to recommend a lavender fragrance, I would recommend this one all day long. The only caveat, the only question I would have for you is if you want a straight up lavender. I think this is still enough of one that I could recommend it for that purpose. But if you wanted something that was lavender plus so much more, this would be the one. This is easily my new favorite. I would give this a 10 all day long, and I believe this is a 4-season fragrance, the kind that you can wear anywhere and everywhere. My wife gives it a 10, with 1 being I don't like it, 5 being I like it, 10 being I love it. My wife and I absolutely love this. Our 17-year-old daughter, Emily, has never been a fan of lavender at all. She still is not a fan of lavender. And from that, she gives this a 5. And that's actually a good score from Emily, that she doesn't really care for lavender. As it dries down, she likes it more, but she's still only willing to give it a 5. So if you love lavender like we do, this is an easy must-have. Let's talk about it a little bit more as we get going here. So once again, McKenzie River Lavender Farm. In front of me are some bee boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4. She has 5 different types of lavender growing out here. Her products are amazing. I purchased the lotion. I've got a bundle of dried lavender spikes from her. I love lavender. I really, really do. Let's start talking about this fragrance as I wet the face and get ready to start mowing this down. I'm going to be drying out quickly here, so I'll have to probably add more water as we go along. My water bottle. Talk about the razor in just a second. I'm going to get this out of the sun. Today's high is forecasted to be like 87. It's probably low 80s by now, upper 70s. Feels a little hotter standing right here where I am. Beautiful. This is in the Ultima base. Absolutely fantastic tallow base. I'll put those ingredients up on the screen right now. This fragrance starts off with bergamot and then mandarin. The bergamot is not like your typical, this is a very sophisticated date night fragrance. I think it's the kind that is perfect for wearing to church, to work. Doesn't matter where you work. Literally anywhere, out on the town, to the market, it doesn't matter. I really feel like this is one of the most versatile fragrances in my ever-growing collection. The bergamot, though, is refined. It's got like this greenish bitterness to it. But beneath that greenish bergamot zest to it is a zesty brightness. And then you run into the mandarin. The mandarin is this sweet, sunny citrus, and it's bringing an element of warmth to it right out of the get-go. You're getting this very inviting fragrance. The soap and splash, did I already say, was sent to me for review by Peter Charkalis at Ariana and Evans. I did not pay for it. I did buy the extrait. My wife bought me the extrait of Lavender Noir and the extrait of Tobacco Road for our anniversary back in May. And as you can see, that photo, I took it just a few minutes ago here. I've already used a lot of it, and I love it. You're gonna get great projection. It smells exactly like this fragrance does. It's just, it goes back to like that, the extrait versus the splash. You have like a 4K TV, that would be the extrait. And then, the splash is like a 1080p high definition TV. And then the soap would be like a black and white, that metaphor that I've talked about before in my videos. The extrait is perfectly done in contrast to the splash. If you love the splash, the extrait is an easy purchase. The wife and I love this one. I cannot emphasize that enough. This is absolutely one of my favorite fragrances in the den. Did I show you guys the pour? So I've used all of this except for one small sample I sent to my friend Lee, and he absolutely loved it. Every person that I've ever recommended this to and has purchased it loves it. I've had this for months now, several months. I've been meaning to get to it. I've been trying to time my review with the lavender bloom, and as you can see, I succeeded. I wanted to review this much sooner. Next, we run into the lavender. There's two types of lavender in this. Lavender Absolute. Lavender Absolute is like what you think it is. It's a concentrate. And then Lavender Grosso. Lavender Grosso is growing right over here. It is a French hybrid. So two types of lavender, and they're both kind of categorized in the scent profile just under lavender. Wish I had more shade for my soap, but I don't. The razor that I'm using is the RazoRock Lupo, and I have the smallest base plate in that. I have three of them, but I decided today to use the 0.58 base plate. Normally I use the 0.72, but I wanted to use this one out here today. No mirror, got you set up on the tripod. The lavender is a classic aromatic lavendery herbaceousness. It balances the citrus up above it perfectly. Two days of growth. I didn't have a chance to shave yesterday. Normally I shave at night, and I was going to shave last night. But then I knew I was going to be shaving early today, and so we just did some family stuff around the house. After the lavender is geranium. Geranium is often called, or is often known as, referred to as a masculine rose. I don't outright detect geranium in this fragrance, but what I think it's doing is adding a leafy green vibe that kind of brings like a green floralcy to the fragrance that lifts and aerates the lavender and the citruses above it, the mandarin and the bergamot. Easily one of the most beautiful lavender fragrances you will ever smell. And I mean, just the lavender itself, the lavender that permeates from this is perfect. Got my rinse bowl right down here, getting buzzed by a bee. Did I already say the lavender is in bloom over here? Jasmine Sambic. There's two types of jasmine, Jasmine grandiflorium and Jasmine Sambic. One of the ways that I remember the differences between the two is Jasmine grandiflorium, it's more floral, more feminine, as to where the Sambic is more sensual, more masculine. It's kind of two of the ways that I remember the differences in my mind. There's more to it than just that, but the grandiflorium is more floral, more feminine in my opinion, and Jasmine Sambic is more sensual, more animalic, can be more animalic, and leans more masculine. And it's the Jasmine Sambic that we have in this. And it is a sensual, animalic jasmine type note that I detect in the heart of this fragrance. It is absolutely beautiful. It's a perfect bridge between the citruses and the woods below, and at the same time carrying that lavender with it. The lavender is always detectable in this fragrance. It's more front and center in the top notes and in the heart. As this fragrance dries down, the lavender remains, but it kind of starts to take a back seat. It's still there, it never goes away. This is a lavender fragrance, but the lavender goes from being the star to kind of a supporting character in the dry down. Next is oud, liquid gold, resinous, dark, and enigmatic. That is what I think this is bringing to this fragrance. Look at this base, just gorgeous. Hope that's showing up on the screen here. I'm having a hard time seeing it because I got the sun in my eyes. Love this Frank's G7. Real quick while I'm thinking about it, with Frank's, if you use my code Tobin at checkout, there's a link in the description. You'll save 20% off of everything at Frank's website. And I did already say that I did not pay for the soap and splash. They were sent to me for review, but I did buy the extrait. My wife did, actually, but we have a joint bank account. My money's her money, vice versa kind of thing. We share everything except for French fries and pizza. I don't share either one of those. I'm kidding. What mama wants, mama gets. Beautiful, beautiful. No pre-shave, no nothing. That's just the ultimate base. Absolutely fantastic. Patchouli. Patchouli pops up in this fragrance twice. The first time, I can definitely detect it. The first time, it's pairing well with the oud, adding a roundness. My razor, I have to squirt it off. Adding a roundness and almost like a contrasting type shadow with the light and everything that's going on in this fragrance. Watching a big bird in front of me, an osprey or something. It's circling the river. You see it? I am really where I say. Can you see him? He's up there somewhere. Oh, and I got a bee or something on my camera. We're just gonna let him hang. We have a friend. Patchouli. The patchouli, if I'm detecting it, is kind of like a damp soil, dry tobacco leaves. That's kind of what I think it's bringing to this. This fragrance is extremely well blended. It's hard to pick out any one note for too long. But if you try hard enough and long enough, I think you can do it. Pink pepper, lightly spiced, just enough brightness to keep the darker notes above it and below it. The darker accords, rather, from collapsing in on this fragrance. I really think that the pink pepper is positioned brilliantly in this fragrance that is bringing a spicy, peppery, light fragrance to it, and is just doing a great job of not allowing this fragrance to become too dark. Give me 1 second here. In the base, we start off with amber, Not a powdery amber. I don't get that at all from this. What I get is a rich, resinous, enveloping touch of balsam. It is a woody, resiny type of amber. The patchouli that is listed in the base, I've had a hard time deciding what it's doing. One thing for certain, it is a fixative. At home, I would rinse my face. When I'm out and about, I just wipe off. It's definitely a fixative, as are a few other notes in the space. But I do feel like the vetiver that I'm detecting, the patchouli that I'm detecting in the base, it is earthier and darker. I have a hard time deciding. Sometimes I think it's that I'm smelling. It's hard. It's so hard with this one because next we run into vanilla, coffee, and the Siam benzoin. The vanilla is easy. This is not a sugary vanilla at all, but a creamy, rounded, woody, comforting vanilla. It smooths out, rounds out the patchouli. And I think that's why I have a hard time noticing the patchouli in the base, is because of everything that's going on around it. But if I had to say the patchouli was doing one thing in particular, it would be earthier, darker, less leafy, and more aged, if that makes sense, than the patchouli that is found in the heart. Coffee. I do not smell what I would say is coffee. I love coffee. I love coffee. I don't smell coffee. What I believe the coffee is doing in this is adding a roasted bitterness that cuts through the sweetness of the vanilla and any other sweetnesses that are going on in this. My wife makes a homemade spaghetti, the sauce. Everything about it is homemade except for the noodles. She doesn't make the noodles, but the sauce is 100% homemade. And when she's making that spaghetti, if it gets too sweet, what she'll do to cut down that sweetness is she'll brew a cup of coffee. She doesn't generally use the whole cup, only a little bit. You'd have to ask her, a few ounces maybe. But she'll, and don't quote me on the amount, but it's less than a cup of coffee. And it'll vary too from batch to batch, and how much of the sweetness she's trying to cut down. But she uses that coffee, just straight black coffee, to cut through the sweetness, to bring down the sweetness by bringing in that bitterness of the coffee. I believe that is one of the things that the coffee is doing in this fragrance. My right contact is drying out. I wear contacts. I have drops in my pocket, but we're going to ride with it. The last note is Siam benzoin. It is a type of styrax. So if you're familiar with styrax resin or the word styrax in perfumes, similar but different. Same, but different. A complex resin. Definitely a fixative, and it's adding depth and warmth to this fragrance. The splash, I can easily get 6 to 8 hours of good wear, 10 to 12 hours on the skin. The soap, I would say, off the tub is a 4 or 5. The lather is a 4 or 5 in terms of scent strength. The splash is a good solid 5. And then the extrait, I think he did a really great job too with it, with the strength, the projection, the sillage of the extrait, splash, and soap are all great, happy middle grounds to where they're kind of what you expect with scent strength. And I think that's a great attribute of a skilled perfumer, because it's really easy to make things too strong. It's just as easy, maybe not as easy, to make things too weak. But oftentimes I've found that new perfumers, people who are learning fragrances, they often make it a little too strong. This never feels too overpowering. The extrait is an all-day wear. The soap smells like the splash, and the splash smells like the extrait. Everything with it is what you would expect. Just bar none, Ariana and Evans at the top of its game, making a new fragrance from scratch, not a clone, made in-house by Peter Charkalis, and I cannot recommend it enough. I want to again thank Peter for sending me out the soap and splash. Didn't pay for it. And I want to again thank Carol Tannenbaum for allowing me to record out here. Must smell like lavender. I got a couple bee friends showing up. That's how good it is. Even the bees want it. I want to thank you, Carol, for allowing me to come out here. It's an absolute treat to be here. Stick around for the B-roll. I'll show you a 360 of my surroundings and a little more of the river and a few other spots out here. You guys take care. It's the little big things. And for me, the McKenzie River, a lavender farm, Ariana and Evans, that's good stuff, Maynard. You guys take care. I'll see you next time. All right, welcome to the B-roll. That's the direction I've been looking in. Real quick, let's show you my setup. I've had you on the tripod. My splash and water bowl down underneath there. I have not shaved yet. I record these before the shave. So out in front of me, off to my left also, it is out there, of course, the river's running downstream right there, is the McKenzie River. Familiar with my channel, you've seen the McKenzie a lot. In fact, where I did the Shave Dad review is literally just across the river and up the road a little ways. A beautiful bride set up down there. I want to again thank Carol Tannenbaum for allowing us to record here at the McKenzie River Lavender Farm. The bloom is every second weekend in July. This year, that is the 11th, 12th, and 13th, all day, every day. Highway 126 right out there. And I want to once again thank Peter Charkalis for sending me the soap and splash for review. I did not pay for them. Thank you again, Peter. I can't recommend this fragrance enough. Peter, you nailed it. You hit it out of the park with creating this fragrance. You really did. You guys take care. No matter what you do, be safe. And I'll see you next time. Absolutely beautiful property right on the McKenzie River. A little slice of heaven. Thanks again for joining us at the McKenzie River Lavender Farm. You guys take care. Right here's where I shot my shave of the day photos.